Hey everyone, today I'll be talking about movement disorders, and in this particular part, I will be talking about Parkinson's disease. The etiology for Parkinson's disease remains idiopathic, but one thing, as we all know, that Parkinson's disease is caused because of reduced dopamine levels. So, some causes for reduced dopamine levels may be number one, the patient may be taking drugs which are actually dopamine antagonists. For example, he may be on haloperidol. Number two, patient may be taking drugs which are actually dopamine depleters. For example, tetrabenazine. Some other causes for reduced dopamine levels or say Parkinson's disease may be it may be genetic or it may be caused by some trauma, and the most common cause is boxing. So this was all about etiology of Parkinson's disease. If we move on to the clinical features of Parkinson's disease, then as you can see in the first diagram, the patient suffers from tremors, and these tremors are actually resting tremors. In the second diagram, what you see is rigidity, and the patient suffers from cogwheel type of rigidity. In the third diagram, what you see is gait problem, wherein the patient moves by bending in forward direction, and this is known as fascinating gait. In fourth diagram, what you see is an expressionless face, that is a mask like face. And in the next diagram, what you see is that the patient has postural instability. And to depict postural instability, what we do is a pull test. Apart from this, patient may also suffer from dementia, and on further evaluation, you may realize that the patient is also suffering from depression. So, this was all about the clinical features. Now, if we talk about the diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, it is a purely clinical diagnosis. As soon as the patient walks in your OPD, you will be able to diagnose it. Next part, which is important, is the treatment of Parkinson's disease. Now, as we all know that it is caused because of decreased dopamine levels, so all we need to do is increase the dopamine levels. Now, you need to remember that we cannot directly give dopamine because dopamine cannot cross the blood brain barrier. So, what do we do for that? For that, what we give is precursor of dopamine, that is levodopa, because this levodopa can cross the blood brain barrier. So the first drug that we give in Parkinson's disease is levodopa because it can cross the blood brain barrier. But there is one thing that you need to remember, that this levodopa can be converted to dopamine peripherally by the enzyme decarboxylase. So for that, we need to give our second drug, that is peripheral, the carboxylase inhibitor, and that is nothing but carbidopa. So that is why you see that we give a combination of levodopa with carbidopa. Now, this levodopa may also be acted upon by enzyme which is COM. So, to stop this activity, what we give are COM inhibitors. The example for COM inhibitors can be tolcapone. Now, this dopamine can be also converted into DOPAC by MAO enzyme. So, the fourth drug which we need to give are MAO inhibitors. The example for MAO inhibitors is selagelene, now let us move on to the next part, that are drugs which act as dopamine agonist. And drugs which act as dopamine agonist include ropenerol. Now, one thing you need to understand is that acetylcholine is responsible for tremors in Parkinson's. So, that is why we give anticholinergic. And the anticholinergic that we give is trihexyphenidyl. Apart from this, there are various surgeries for Parkinson's disease, like deep brain stimulation, but that are for very severe or extreme cases. So, this was all about Parkinson's disease in brief. Here is the overview. If you like this video, share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.